Zacchaeus was a tax collector. He worked for Rome. Rome was powerful, and its influence stretched far and wide, touching every corner of the known world. He collected taxes from his own people. This made him unpopular. His fellow Jews saw him as a traitor, someone who had sold out to the oppressors for personal gain. People saw him as dishonest. They whispered behind his back, pointing fingers and casting judgmental glances his way. They thought him a sinner. In their eyes, he was beyond redemption, a man who had chosen wealth over integrity. Zacchaeus was wealthy but lonely. He longed for acceptance. Despite his riches, his heart was empty, yearning for something more meaningful. He had heard of Jesus. The stories of this man from Nazareth intrigued him. Stories of miracles and teachings spread. People spoke of Jesus healing the sick, giving sight to the blind, and even raising the dead. Jesus offered forgiveness and hope. Zacchaeus was curious. Could Jesus be different? Could he see beyond the surface, beyond the sins and mistakes? Could Jesus see past his sins? Zacchaeus wondered if there was a chance for redemption, a chance to start anew. He hoped that Jesus could offer him the acceptance and forgiveness he so desperately sought. One day, Jesus was passing through Jericho. The sun was shining brightly, casting long shadows on the ancient streets. The town was abuzz with excitement. People lined the streets, their faces filled with anticipation and hope. They had heard of the miracles and teachings of Jesus. They wanted to see Jesus, to catch a glimpse of the man who had touched so many lives. Zacchaeus, a tax collector, was eager too, but he was a small man and the crowd was thick and tall. The crowd obscured his view, making it impossible for him to see over their heads. Zacchaeus wouldn't be deterred by his stature. Determined, he ran ahead of the crowd, his heart pounding with determination and hope. He climbed a sycamore tree, its branches strong and wide, offering him a perfect vantage point. From there he could see everything. The entire scene unfolded before his eyes. He could see Jesus, walking with grace and purpose. Little did he know Jesus could see him too. Their eyes met, and in that moment Zacchaeus felt a connection, a glimpse of hope that would change his life forever. Jesus stopped beneath the sycamore tree. He looked up and saw Zacchaeus. Imagine Zacchaeus' surprise. Jesus spoke his name. "Zacchaeus, come down immediately. I must stay at your house today." Zacchaeus scrambled down the tree. He welcomed Jesus into his home. The crowd grumbled. Why would Jesus choose a sinner like Zacchaeus? A changed heart. Zacchaeus stood before Jesus. He confessed his sins. He pledged to change. Zacchaeus, a tax collector, had lived a life of greed and dishonesty, but now, standing in the presence of Jesus, he felt a profound sense of remorse. He knew he had wronged many people, and his heart was heavy with guilt. He promised to repay those he had cheated. With a sincere heart, he declared that he would return 4 times the amount he had taken unjustly. His voice trembled with emotion as he made this vow, knowing the magnitude of his past actions. He would give half his possessions to the poor. Jesus listened patiently. Zacchaeus had amassed great wealth, but he realized that true riches lay in generosity and compassion. He wanted to make amends and start anew, showing kindness to those in need. Then he spoke words of grace. Jesus, with a gentle and understanding voice, reassured Zacchaeus that his repentance was genuine and that he was forgiven. The words of Jesus were like a balm to Zacchaeus' troubled soul, bringing him peace and comfort. Today, salvation has come to this house. Zacchaeus was overjoyed. The burden of his past was lifted, and he felt a newfound sense of freedom and joy. He celebrated with Jesus, grateful for the chance to start over. His heart was filled with gratitude. He had found acceptance. He had found forgiveness. He had found salvation. Zacchaeus knelt in humble thanks, his heart overflowing with a sense of belonging and love. He knew that his life had been forever changed by this encounter with Jesus. Redemption found. The story of Zacchaeus is a beautiful illustration of grace. Zacchaeus, the outcast, the sinner, was chosen by Jesus. He was offered forgiveness and a new life. His story gives us hope. No matter our past, we too can be forgiven. Zacchaeus' transformation reminds us that grace is transformative. When we encounter Jesus, our hearts change. We turn away from sin. We desire to live for him. Lessons from the sycamore tree. The story of Zacchaeus teaches us valuable lessons. It teaches us about God's love for all. It teaches us about the power of repentance. It teaches us about the joy of salvation. Like Zacchaeus, let us seek Jesus. Let us open our hearts to his grace. Let us experience the transformative power of his love. Let us share his love with others. Subscribe, like, and share.